Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Slowing Down with Art. I am really excited about today's episode because we are diving into spooky stuff, and I know it probably sounds super early for some people. The time that I'm recording this, it's just about to be August, so I get that spooky talk and spooky season is probably a little bit early. However, when you are running a business, you kind of have to do things a little bit early so that it is ready in time for the actual spooky season. And I'll actually argue that I have been seeing stores restock their Halloween decor since early, like the beginning of July, which I actually think is a little bit too early. And that's coming from someone that is a very spooky lover, all things spooky. Obviously, you can probably see all the spooky stuff in the background. But anyway, I'm going to break this video down in three parts. The first part is ideation. I want to think about the Halloween spooky season things that I want to eventually turn into pieces for Sunday Paper House. If you did not know, Sunday Paper House is my stationery business. And so I want to think, just sit down and have a think about what I want to eventually turn into pieces there. And then we will transition into the second and third parts of this video, which I'll obviously show you as we go along. But right now we are in the ideation phase. And I'll just tell you right now what is top of mind for me when it comes to creating some spooky season pieces. I'm envisioning something on the slighter cutesy side as opposed to actually spooky scary side. And I have been seeing a lot of, I don't know if it's just me that's seeing this or if it's popular right now, but I've been seeing a lot of pieces where there's a semi cutesy little subject, and then around it there's a cute border, maybe a vintage frame kind of border or a postage stamp kind of border. I don't know. I'm really leaning into a border of some sort for whatever spooky season subjects I end up going with. So, what I like to do is just get that idea out of my head, which obviously we did just now. And also, I brainstormed a little bit with my business partner for this. So, it's not just me that's coming up with the idea solely. I do run it by my business partner, even though I'm the creative director of Sunday Paper House. We still run everything by each other. We are a mighty team of two. So we already had this conversation, but I'm actually going to go into Pinterest and see if I can find some actual concrete visuals so that, I can actually put something in my brain as opposed to just the muddled, loose vision that I have right now, if that makes sense. This is kind of like my process. I'll go through Pinterest first and then I'll go through another app, but this is more or less the process that I have when it comes to ideation. So let's see. I'm gonna type in cute Halloween drawings. Let's see. Oh my gosh, how funny is this? This is the first thing that comes up. The very first image that comes up on Pinterest, which is kind of what I was talking about. You can see there's vintage frames, but there's a cute little spooky season subject in the middle. I'm not going this cute, but this is the concept. This is the idea. And I wouldn't do it in a collage. I'm thinking of doing one piece is one subject with one border / frame. But how funny is that? I also really love the idea, and I don't know if I'm going to end up doing this, but I really love the idea of having a subject be someone or something in a costume. So it's not just a ghost, but it's somebody dressed up as a ghost. I think that's extra cute. So I like that idea. I also love a pumpkin. I love me a classic pumpkin, maybe a classic jack-o'-lantern with a funny face or a slightly spooky face. I feel like I can get away with extra spooky when it comes to jack-o'-lantern faces because in some eyes they can look funny and in other people's eyes they can look kind of scary. Okay, let me see if I can look up Halloween drawing frame. I don't know if that's going to come up with anything. it didn't. I'm seeing a lot of these types of collages. Again, I don't want to do anything like that, but the concept is there. There's like a subject in the middle. Let me see if I can zoom into one. You can see there's like a little cat there, and then there's a cute frame around the cat. I really like that. Oh my gosh, this is almost exactly what I was talking about. These look like, I don't know if they are illustrations or what, but can you see like the border is a postage stamp? I might actually lean into the postage stamp a little bit more. I do know those are trending because I've been actually looking at tattoos, and there is a person that does like really really popular tattoos, and she has a whole sheet of just like postage stamps with different subjects inside. So I know that's like trending. This is another kind of like visual. It doesn't have anything spooky in it, but you can see the borders. So I think you can kind of see where I'm going at here. More or less, I want to do like a variety of spooky season subjects, pumpkins, ghosts, maybe bats, maybe witches. I don't know. I'll keep thinking about it and then have some sort of border. I'll test both borders. I'll test like a vintage looking frame, and I'll test a stamp border, and we'll see which one I end up vibing with, because at the end of the day, even though I am creating for other people, I'm creating a product for other people, I also want to enjoy the artistic process as well. So if you're ever curious as to how I ideate for a product and not necessarily like just drawing for fun and sketching for fun, this is also fun, but like I also have another thought in my head when I'm thinking about creating products. This is how I kind of start. I just start from nothing. I start with some kind of thought in my head, and then I just work from there. Okay, friends, this is part 2 in the Slowing Down with Art video. Of course, we started with ideation, and so the second part is sketching and just experimenting a little bit. So I took my sketchbook outside for this one because the weather was phenomenal this day. It felt like a fall day. I think we were in the upper 60s, maybe in the low 70s, and it was breezy, it was overcast. It was just, I needed to be outside, especially for this particular video and for the sketches that we're clearly doing here. They're just festive. Maybe I manifested something here. But anyway, the sketching part is me truly being experimental and allowing myself to be a little bit sloppy, be a little bit messy, and not expect myself to come out with something perfect. This is, just me trying to figure out what I want to do here, what the final product is eventually going to end up looking like. And so I need to start with imperfections. I need to start with scribbles and doodles and lines that don't make sense in order for me to feel confident going into the final part, which you'll see very shortly. But right here, as you can see, I am doing a bunch of different sketches for frames because in the ideation phase, as you saw, I'm trying to do something with vintage frames or vintage stamps and stuff like that. So you're going to see both of those options here in the sketches. I will just say, I started off thinking that I was going to really love the stamps more than the frames, but after doing these doodles, I kind of like the frames a little bit more. I don't know, but I just love the idea of the stamps. I feel like I can do more with the stamps. It's just that when I am sketching here, I just feel like the frames came out on the page better. But of course, this is just my first sketch, and I'm not going to commit just because it looks better this time around. Obviously, if I was to sit for another sketching session, the stamps might end up looking better, but I don't know. There's something about the stamps that I really, really love. I'm thinking of doing like even stickers that look like stamps, but they're not stamps. They can't be used as stamps, obviously, but they look like they are. I don't know. There's just an idea there that I really like. Okay, friends, and so this is part 3. This is the final part in the Slowing Down with Art video here. We started with ideation, we went on to experimentation and sketching, and now we are pulling out the paints. We're pulling out the watercolors, and I am experimenting. Well, this is also kind of an experiment. I don't think any of the paintings that I'm doing here are going to be final pieces by a long shot. I just wanted to do one example of a frame and one example of a stamp on paper, like this kind of paper that I do my paintings on, so I can see how it translates from sketch to a finished painting, so to say. So you will quickly see that I am starting with painting the stamp, and immediately upon me starting to paint this, I don't know, I just had this sinking feeling in my stomach, and I just felt like that this direction wasn't working for me actually. And I don't mean that in terms of the colors, I don't mean that in terms of the particular style, design, and the ghost that I put into this example, but just the theme overall. And I know that might sound anticlimactic after we went through an entire process here, but something was just not sitting right with me as I started to paint this. It just didn't feel authentic to Sunday Paper House, and it didn't feel authentic to me. And that's like the first and foremost thing that I need to ensure, right? I want to make sure that the pieces that I come out with, I'm really happy about and I feel confident and good in. And there's just, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's because of the ghost. Maybe it's because it's a little too cutesy. Maybe the whole direction that I was going with the little Halloween doodles felt too cutesy. And that's not really the kind of painting style or direction that I tend to go with when it comes to my paintings. I like to go the more nature vibe. I like to do fruits, veggies, little bits and pieces that I spot in nature. And I think that's quite obvious. You've seen me do the whole Slow Morning with the Farmers Market theme drop, and that is very nature inspired, even though it's not like nature landscapes, it's nature like fruits and veggies. And those are just things that I'm more comfortable and happy with. And it just felt like I was trying to replicate something that wasn't genuine to me here. And so I continue on with the paintings. I wanted to finish the paintings and maybe push past that feeling that I was getting as soon as I started to paint. But as I went on to the vintage frame piece, and I thought this one was going to be better out of the two, I still felt this feeling. I didn't feel confident in it. I didn't like the ghost at all, even though the ghost is cute. It just didn't feel right to be associated or part of Sunday Paper House. It's a cute doodle, it's a fun doodle, it's something that I really enjoyed doing, but it just didn't feel like something I wanted to put out on behalf of Sunday Paper House. So basically, as we come to the end of this painting session or this video as well, I don't think I'm going to go forward with this entire idea, which is probably annoying. I am so sorry that you went through this entire thing, but I do want to share this video because I think it's a realistic look into how I approach Sunday Paper House. I experiment a lot. I do a lot of thinking. I do a lot of ideation. I do a lot of experimentation. And sometimes at the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect the very first go that I go with when it comes to this entire process. Sometimes you have to go all the way back to the beginning and ideate some more, think about it some more, and just to end this off with a little bit of hope for you and for me, I did go back to square one and I did ideate some things that I feel a lot more confident in, and is in the realm of nature vibes, fruits, veggies, produce, that kind of thing, but is definitely nothing of the sort when it comes to comparing it to slow mornings at the farmer's market. So more to come here. There is definitely a lot more to come, and I just want to be super sure that I'm happy with what product I come out with for Sunday Paper House. So just stay tuned. It's happening very quickly behind the scenes, and you'll hear about it more very soon because I do want to launch this month in August. So there is definitely more to come, but I do hope that you enjoyed coming along this slowing down with art video with me. At the very least, I was able to stop for several moments throughout the past few days and enjoy my art, get into my art, and just do all the artsy things, which is far more than I've ever done before, and I'm really happy to say that. Thanks to this series and thanks to Sunday Paper House. But that is all. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next video.